Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
Good afternoon and welcome to Build a Brand Wednesday here on the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown. And as y'all always say, it is hump day. But let me start with the real question today. And I want you to really sit with this question. What if the thing you've been waiting on, the opportunity, the breakthrough, the recognition, what if that's not what actually makes you successful? What if success isn't something that shows up one day, but something that's already been built in you right now? Now, because a lot of people are chasing outcomes, titles, money, visibility, and growth, but they haven't taken the time to ask, am I becoming the person that can sustain what I'm asking for? And if we are honest, some of us don't want the process. We just want the results. But today we are going to deal with what that space is between the process. We're going to deal with the process, and today, Build a Brand Wednesday, we're talking about your success is built in the process. The outcome is just the proof. And you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Join us on this heavenly journey, one song at a time, Wave Radio.
Let's lock this in early. I want you to carry this the whole show. Your success is built in the process. The outcome is just the proof. Let me break that down for you. See, when the opportunity comes, it doesn't transform you, it reveals you. It exposes your habits, your discipline, your mindset, and your preparation. So if you don't like what shows up in the outcome, you don't fix the outcome, you go back and fix the process. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown. And again, carry this for this whole show right here. Your success is built in the process. The outcome is just the proof.
You're riding the waves of faith and grace on Wave Radio.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown, and this is Build a Brand Wednesday. And we are talking about the process. The process. The most important part of your success, the most important part of the outcome of your success. But let's talk about this young man named David. Let me tell you a little story about a young man named David. And David is from the Bible. So now y'all know who I'm talking about. He wasn't popular. He wasn't in position. He wasn't even considered by most people, not even his family. He was in the background working, taking care of responsibilities that looked small, handling situations that didn't come with recognition, showing discipline in a place where nobody was watching. And even after he was chosen to be king for something greater, he went right back to the same environment. Now, let's bring that into today. This is you. You are the modern day David. So I'm not calling you a man, but I'm just saying, you are the modern day David. Building something with no audience yet. Showing up to work while feeling overlooked. Posting content and hearing silence. Doing the right thing, but no applause. And the question becomes, can you stay committed when it doesn't look like it's working? Because that's where most people fall off. You got to stay committed. If you're a content creator, you're just starting and you're posting and you only see 1 or 2, 3 likes of even people you know and not commenting or liking. Guess what? You keep going because you took the calling not based upon who is going to like you, who is going to pay attention to you. You took the calling based upon hearing God's voice. And God is preparing you, and you got to be able to stay 10 toes down when nobody is applauding you, paying you no attention, because this is part of the process. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Stay tuned and stay blessed here on Wave Radio.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown. Hey, thank you for joining me here on Build a Brand Wednesday. Let's talk about the feel. You know, David was doing his thing in the field. And if you just tuned in, we actually talked about David, the man who was called to be a king, but went back into the field, went back to the environment that he came from. But the field and your current reality, they equals. See, let's make this plain. The field isn't a place, it's a season. And the season is where you're learning things you didn't expect to learn. You're being stretched in ways you didn't plan for. You're uncomfortable more than you're confident. You're questioning if you're even on the right path. And here's the truth. The field doesn't feel like success. It feels like repetition. It feels like obscurity, slow progress, but that's where your foundation is being built. And if you skip this season, you skip the strength you need later on. Stay in there. Stay in this season. Stay in the field. Grow, build, mold yourself. Allow God to move in you and to prepare you for what he has for you. Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Stay tuned and stay blessed here on Wave Radio.
It is Build a Brand Wednesday, and this is the Afternoon Praise here on Wave Radio. Let's throw a little data in here. You know I like data. I like studies. Let's do a data check, all right? Now, I want to help you reset your expectations. Let's remove the illusion. The data says this. It takes 2 to 5 years just to get recognized. It takes 7 to 10 years to reach mastery. So when you see somebody winning, you're seeing the outcome. You're not seeing the process. You're not seeing the years of inconsistency they had to fight through, the moments they wanted to quit, the times they were doubted or overlooked. So stop comparing your day 300 to somebody else's year 10. You're not behind, you're building. But stop thinking you can do what somebody else is doing. Stop thinking you understand how they got there. You don't. You're not there with them. So again, run your race. Go through your process. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Stay tuned and stay blessed here on Wave Radio.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. Culture. We always talk about culture, but culture is good and some cultures can be bad. You know, everything is built around a culture, but let's talk about the culture lie. We've been conditioned to believe something dangerous. If it's not happening fast, it's not working. That mindset will kill your future because anything that grows fast without depth can't survive pressure. And pressure is coming with success. You're not going to be successful without pressure. So if you rush growth, you're also rushing collapse. Slow growth is not a weakness. It's a stability being formed. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. Slow down. Slow down. Stop being fooled by culture. You ain't got to rush this thing. Take your time to build what God has blessed you to build and called you to build. Hey, I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown, here on the Afternoon Praise.
Stay tuned and stay blessed here on Wave Radio.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. Where all my talented people, all my people got all these skills, man. You can go do things quicker than a lot of people can do. You can run suckers around people. Where are you at? Make some noise. Yeah, I made some noise. I got skills. But guess what? Let me reel you in. Let me reel you in a little bit. Let's talk about character versus skill. See, here's what's happening in business right now. People are skilled, but they are not grounded. They know how to market. They know how to sell. They know how to build, but they don't know how to lead people, handle pressure, stay consistent. And that data confirms it. You know, I like data. And here it goes. Only about 35% of leaders are effective with people. That means the real gap isn't knowledge, it's character. And character is built in the process, not in the spotlight. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Bringing the sounds of heaven 24/7, Wave Radio.
This is the Afternoon Praise here on Wave Radio, and it is Hump Day Wednesday, but we called it Build a Brand Wednesday, and we are talking about the process. The success is in the process. Yes, the success is in the process. So the last break, we was talking about character versus talent. I'm not saying you can't be talented, but you have to have character to go with it. Let's bring character into real life. Character is doing what needs to be done when you don't feel like doing it. Staying consistent when nothing is responding. Taking corrections without getting defensive. Remaining disciplined when nobody is checking on you. And let me say this right here. Character is not tested when everything is going right. Character is revealed when you are tired, you are frustrated, when you're not seeing results. That's when we find out who you really are. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
What's going on, good people? I just want to thank you for tuning in to Wave Radio, listening to the Afternoon Praise. I tell you this every day, without y'all, there's no us. And we want to make sure that we are playing the right music. You love the music we playing. So go on the website. That's Wave Radio. That's WAYVVE Radio, and request your song. Let us know what you want to hear. But I want us to talk about this. Serving builds authority. This is where a lot of people miss it. They want to lead, but they never learned how to serve. And the data shows better retention, stronger teams, and high engagement. But let's go deeper. Serving builds something you can't fake, and that's trust. Let me say that again. Serving builds something you can't fake. Trust. And trust is what gives your voice weight, because people don't follow titles. They follow consistency, integrity, and how you treat them. Trust. You have to serve. How do you know how things are run? So let's say if you want to open a fast food restaurant, what do? You go work in the fast food restaurant. If you want to know how something is done, what do? You go work in that area. You might have to volunteer. You might have to go in and just serve an area. If you're trying to be a leader, you have to serve under another leader, a successful leader who was doing it the right way, so that you can know how to lead in certain situations. Serve, people. Serve. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care what you have to serve so that you can be trusted. If you can't serve, you can't lead. If you can't serve, how do you expect somebody else to serve you? You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. Let me ask you this. Are you feeling overlooked right now? Let me talk to the person who feels unseen. You're doing the work, but if it feels like it's not being acknowledged, that can mess with you if you're not careful. You're starting to question, am I good enough? Is this even working? Should I be further? But let me reframe it. Sometimes being overlooked is part of the preparation, because visibility brings pressure. And if you're not ready for the pressure, it will break you. So instead of asking, why am I not being seen? Ask, am I ready if I am seen? You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
We are 2 days removed from the weekend. Are you excited about the weekend? I'm excited about the weekend. You know why? Because Motivational Monday will be back soon. Okay, I'm not going to rush you. I'm not going to rush you through the week. I know it's Wednesday and it's Build a Brand Wednesday, but I want to say something. Private wins. Before anything become public, it's built in private. Private wins look like showing up when you don't feel like it, finishing what you started, getting better at your craft, developing discipline. Nobody celebrate those moments, but those are the moments that build confidence. Because when you've already proven it to yourself, you don't need anyone else to validate it. Start celebrating the private wins. If you said, I got to do content all week, and you've been doing it like once a day or twice a day, you've been skipping days and stuff like that, and you did it the whole week, celebrate that, because that is 1 week down of consistency. That is part of the process. You are getting stronger. You finished the whole week. If you said you needed to do this and you haven't been doing it, and then you did it for a couple of days straight, celebrate that. Celebrate that private win. Because I'm telling you, nobody, I don't care if I had 0 people listening to my show. I don't care if somebody say, hey man, your show ain't good. I know my show is good. I know, because God gave me this assignment, and God gave me the heart and the mind to think and to deliver the word I need to be delivering to you. So somebody can tell me all day long, man, your show ain't good, man. You talking about this, talking about that. Hey, you don't have to listen, buddy. So again, celebrate those private wins. And once you start doing that, you start proving to yourself, you don't need no one to validate you. Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. In the last break, we was talking about celebrating the private wins. We was talking about celebrating your private wins. Because guess what? If you believe in yourself, you don't need nobody else to validate you. But let's talk about confidence without validation. This is where many people fall off. They need likes, they need feedback, they need recognition to feel like they're progressing. But real confidence says, I don't need to be seen to know I'm growing. That kind of confidence, it keeps you moving, keeps you grounded, keeps you focused, because your identity is not tied into the response. It's tied into your development. Can I back up? And let me say this again. To feel like they're progressing, people need likes. People need feedback. People need recognition. But real confidence says, I don't need to be seen to know I'm growing. That kind of confidence, it keeps you moving, keeps you grounded, keeps you focused. Because again, your identity is not tied to a response. It's tied to your development. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
What's going on, good people? It is Build a Brand Wednesday here on the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown, and you are tuned in to Wave Radio. Let's get into something here, a little serious right here. I mean, all of it's serious, but you know, people always talking about, man, I'm preparing, I'm praying, I'm waiting, But you know what? They're hiding. They're hiding. But let me ask you, are you preparing or are you hiding? Let's just be real for a second. Some people say they're preparing, but they're hiding behind more research, more planning, more thinking. Because if you don't execute, you don't have to face failure. But let me tell you something. You can't build confidence without action. So you could plan and think and do all this other stuff, but if you're not putting execution behind it, you cannot build confidence. At some point, you have to move. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
If you just tuned in and you're listening to the Afternoon Praise, and you know who I am, I'm Demetrius L. Brown. Yeah, boy. Hey, y'all remember that candy we used to eat? Now later. I think they might still sell it. Now later. Eat something now, eat something later. Y'all remember that? Man, I used to love that. I can't eat those now. But let's talk about move now, not later. You see how I tied that in right there? See, high performers don't wait for the perfect conditions. They ask one question. What can I do right now? Not next year. Not when everything is lined up, but right now. The next 30 days can change everything if you stay focused, stay consistent, stay disciplined. Because movement creates momentum, and momentum creates clarity. You remember we talked about that. You need momentum. Momentum creates clarity. All right? You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. You know, we talk about branding and being a brand a lot, but do we really understand what a brand is? Do you really understand what a brand is? Let's redefine what a brand actually is. Your brand is not your logo. It's not your colors. It's not your content. Your brand is your pattern. It's what people can expect from you over time. Your consistency, your discipline, standards, and integrity. That's what people remember. That's what brand trust is. So if you was confused about a brand, you was thinking it was your logo, you was thinking I got to get these colors. No, it's your pattern. It's your pattern. It's what people can expect from you over time. Consistency, discipline, standards, integrity. These are the things people remember. Look at McDonald's. Look at all these companies, Starbucks. Yeah, they got their logos, but they have systems in place. They have a pattern systems, whatever, the same thing. They have those in place. And people know when I go in these locations or wherever it is, I know what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, and what it looks like. And that's why people get frustrated when they go there. If something is missing, they don't have it. Or maybe the customer service ain't acting the way they're supposed to, because they have brand trust. That's what a brand is. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown, and this is Build a Brand Wednesday.
Stay tuned and stay blessed here on Wave Radio.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. My time is up. Man, this is Build a Brand Wednesday, and I am excited about this show because I know a lot of you are going to go work on your brand. A lot of you are going to go to a place and do something that you've been saying you're going to do. You're going to complete something that you started. You're going to look at yourself differently in the mirror. You're going to say, I don't need validation from nobody else because God has given me my assignment and this is my field. Remember, the field is not a place. The field is a season. So let's bring this all together. The young man we talked about earlier, you remember David? Yes, who was the young man in the field, and he became king. He didn't become ready when people finally saw him. He was already ready because of what he built when nobody was watching. So when the opportunity came, he didn't change him. It didn't change him. It revealed him. And that's what I want you to understand today. Don't rush the outcome. Don't compare your timeline, and don't quit in the process. Because if you stay committed to building, wow, when your moment comes, you won't have to prove anything. It will be already evident to people that you prepared yourself. You prepared when nobody wasn't watching. But I want to leave you with this. Your success is not waiting on the outcome. It's being built in what you are doing right now in the process. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown, and I will talk to you tomorrow. It is Thrive Thursday, and I want you to keep on thriving, keep on pushing. I'm out of here. Peace.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.